Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $20,000 Modern Invitational here in sunny Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
We have 2 rounds down, 5 more Swiss to bring you before we reach our top 8, and we're going to be bringing you all that action today. But first, Ross, give us a rundown of what we're going to be watching in round number 3.
We're going to be watching Ryan Hayes, the number 6 player on the Season 4 leaderboard, playing Boros Energy against Krista Oskapinski on Hollow One. A recent arrival back into the modern metagame.
Whoa, before we go any further, Krista Oskapinski only plays Eldrazi-tron. I'm sorry, I've known her for 2 or 3 years now, only plays Eldrazi-tron. Who is this person?
Well, she's moved on to a different colorless creature in Hollow One.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, very cool deck, utilizing, of course, Burning Inquiry to turbo out Hollow Ones, but Fear of Missing Out, a recent addition, and Detective's Phoenix both gave this deck a nice jolt.
Detective's Phoenix is so sick. You know, we talk a lot about Flage, but Escape is just like a very powerful mechanic, and the Detective's Phoenix coming back as a bestowed creature when you escape it is just like so cool. Or as a collect evidence, it's very similar. But it's like just such a powerful card because it grants haste to the creature as well. And even if they kill that creature, well, you still have a 2/2 flying haste. So just a really, really sick card.
Yeah, and that means this is a very explosive deck. She's got a little bit of removal and Fatal Push, Tarfire, Molten Collapse, along with 4 copies of Orcish Bowmasters, which are great with Burning Inquiry, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
Blast you.
Yeah, so this could be a very tricky matchup for Ryan Hayes. I know this is a deck that Aspiring Spike has been playing a lot of recently, and he really likes the matchup against Boros Energy.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ryan Hayes is number 6 on our leaderboard, and he's got a tough one here. So let's head on down to the feature match area, and we're going to watch Krista Oskapinski on Hollow One versus Ryan Hayes on Boros Energy.
Ryan's list is also interesting, only playing 2 copies of the Wandering in the main and only 3 Flage. So he's cut a lot of the late game from the main deck at least. He's playing the full 4 copies of Ragavan. I think he's teched out to try to beat these Amulet Titan decks.
Yeah. And here we are underway. Ryan Hayes wins the die roll. Going to start with Ragavan, Nimble Pilfer. Going to pass it, and Oskapinski going to search up Blood Crypt. We'll see if it's the powerful 1-mana Burning Inquiry. Let's get Burning Inquiry on the screen when we can, because this is a card that most people probably haven't played with or against, but it's so wild. Both players draw 3 and then discard 3 at random, can create some fireworks, take all the lands out of your opponent's hand, but also fuels Hollow One.
Yeah, that's the card that really gives you the most explosive draws in this deck. But instead, Krista just has a Dragon's Rage Channeler and a pass, hoping to trade it off for the monkey.
Yeah, and if Ryan Hayes doesn't have a removal spell in hand here to take care of this Dragon Rage Channeler, there's a chance that it will just brick off the Ragavan completely. I don't know what that token is, but okay.
I think there's a Galvanic Discharge in Ryan's hand. He was just getting out
the
his
energy token?
counter.
Ah, the preemptive energy token. Okay, use Arid Mesa to quickly fetch a plains, and then we are going to start with
Static Prison?
Guide of Souls. Oh, maybe he's just gonna 3 energy to grow the Ragavan this turn, but yeah, and that's what he's gonna ignore the Dragon Rage Channeler entirely.
Okay.
Interesting. Or just wants to get this treasure so that we can grow it this turn, deal more damage, and use that extra mana from the treasure token to cast something else, like the Static Prison in hand. Whoa.
Well, just found another Goyf that he could play off the treasure. That's a good hit.
Yeah, and it's already a 2/3 thanks to the Galvanic Discharge and the Arid Mesa, and it's going to get bigger real fast.
There is a risk to that play. If Krista can kill the Nether Goyf, it goes back to her graveyard, and then she can escape it later in the game.
Yeah, but that's a future Rhyme problem.
Yeah. Very aggressive line from Ryan Hayes. Could have just killed the Dragon's Rage Channeler, attacked in for 2, still had 2 energy, but he wants to get this game over with.
Okay, Guide of Souls number 2, the start here for Ryan. We're going to gain a life and energy up to 2. Taps 1. Here's Static Prison. That's going to give us 2 more energy, and we can use that to exile the Dragon Rage Channeler. Go up to 4.
And now can pay for one of the Guide of Souls and leave an energy back to pay for the prison next turn.
Okay, let's see if Krista has any action here. My guess, Orcish Bowmasters, but it looks kind of weak, all things considered. And I think that this was maybe one of the reasons why Hayes wanted to get the Rogavan up above 1 toughness was because the turn 2 Orcish Bowmasters is so much more threatening than the Dragon Race Channeler.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I just would not have done that. That's just a really sick play. Ryan is just on another level.
Okay, decides to pump up the Nether Goyf, so this is an attack for 9. Krista already at 13.
Is this a no play? I think Bowmaster to block the Guide of Souls and deal damage to it would have been nice. So I think that we just don't even have it. Oh, the rare Ryan Overturf treasure token. I haven't seen those in so long. 2 mana here, and we do have the Orcish Bowmasters from Krista, so it looks like we are going to go ahead and deal 1 damage to face.
Ragavan exiled that Marsh Flatsu Sea, so nothing to cast this turn for Ryan. Or nothing else, I should say.
Okay. Already at 4 life. Untapping for her turn 3 is Krista Oskapinski.
Yeah, she's starting to have 2 lethal flying creatures, so not sure what she can do to get back into this game.
Well, we know that Orcish Bowmasters plus Burning Inquiry can do some serious machine gun-like plays.
Yeah, that could take out the Ragavan. And then if you find a Fatal Push to take out the Nethergoyf.
It's certainly possible. The 2 Guide of Souls can both be somewhat threatening next turn as well. But here it is. We're going to start with Burning Inquiry, and this is the interaction you talked about. With Orcish Bowmaster, let's get Orcish Bowmaster on the screen because this is also a really powerful card and integral to this Burning Inquiry combo here. So both players going to draw 3, discard 3 at random thanks to Burning Inquiry, but thanks to Orcish Bowmasters, it's going to get 3 triggers and ping 3 damage, and we can use that to kill Ragavan at the very least.
Okay, so player's going to use some dice, figure out which cards are getting discarded.
12-sided dice, we reroll 8 through 12. Okay, card down, now it's 1 through 6. 4, and now it's 1 through 6, reroll 6. 4 again. Okay, and now for Ryan, 1 through 4, reroll 5, 6. 3 down, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Just roll for the one you keep.
Yeah, whatever. Too late. The first one. Okay, I don't know.
Right, so Ryan discards a couple lands in a Static Prison. Krista discards a Detective's Phoenix, and I'm not sure on the other 2.
Yeah, I can't quite see. Is there Mishra's Baubles in the deck? It looks kind of like an
There's
artifact.
4 baubles.
Might be 2 Mishra's Baubles. But
Okay, so
we get to grow the Bowmaster 3 times.
Yeah, now that the Burning Inquiry is done resolving, that's when the Bowmaster triggers will go on the stack.
Yeah, and it looks like we can't clear the 2 flyers, so Krista is going to pack it in. The Burning Inquiry wasn't quite enough to get her there. A very, very strong start from Hayes. Ragavan doing some serious work.
Yeah, card that has been a little bit forgotten in the last year or 2 of Modern.
I think it picked back up a bit when people start playing the 1 ring in the Boros decks because that treasure allows you to kind of cascade into the 4-drop a little more fluidly. But the fact that it gets bricked by so many creatures in the mirror means that it's somewhat weak in the mirror compared to the other 1-drops, and it's very often sided out.
Where it really excels is in the big mana matchups, and
Yes.
Amulet has picked up a lot in recent months, so that's also fueling the return of Ragavan.
All right, as these players are reaching for their sideboards for some help in game number 2, how does Krista O, Ross? How does Krista O in that Hollow One deck combat Boros Energy?
So Krista's sideboard is 3 Blood Moon, 2 Ghost Vacuum, 3 Rough Tumble, 1 Surgical Extraction, 4 Thoughtseize, and 2 Untimely Malfunction.
Rough Tumble, you say?
Yeah, we'll certainly be bringing in the Rough Tumbles. But I don't think anything else here is anything Krista wants. So just some Pyroclasms, but those are very good against the Boros Energy deck.
So for those of you who didn't play Legacy Delver circa 2013, Rough Tumble is a split card. The front half deals 2 damage to all non-flying creatures for just 2 mana. That is a great way for you to bust up all of these cheap creatures from Boros Energy. And I know it's hard to read sideways. Tumble, deal 6 to all the flyers. Not something you see too much. Very, very rare. But Rough, deal 2 to everything. And in a deck that has some number of flying creatures, that type of effect is a little bit more valuable than Pyroclasm.
Yeah. And then for Ryan, his sideboard is 1 Gigantha the Wellspring as a companion, 1 Blood Moon to supplement 2 in the main, 2 Disruptor Flute, 2 Fear Fire Foes, 2 Orm's Chant, 2 Stone of Eric, 3 Sunspire Links, and the 3rd and 4th copies of the 1 Ring. I Honestly, not a ton I like here either. I think the extra rings will likely come in, assuming that
Yes.
the matchup slows down in a post board, and you probably want to get the Blood Boots out of the main deck anyway.
Agreed.
So that's an easy 2-for-2 swap, but I'm not high on anything else in this sideboard.
All right. Well, even though Ryan did use that Ragavan well in game number 1, I thought I saw him siding it out, and that makes a lot of sense considering Krista Oskapensi is going to be on the play. She's got 4 Orcish Bowmasters in her deck, so
Yeah, Ryan also might want the Stone of Eric's. The Graveyard Hate can help slow down Detective's Phoenix, Dragon's Rage Channeler, Delirium on Fear of Missing Out, and Nethergoyf. So there's enough minor graveyard elements for Chris's deck that I think Stone could be reasonable.
okay. As these players are about to be ready here, let's head on down and see what's going to happen in game number 2. Looks like Krista has kept her 7. Ryan going to go back to 6. But while these players are taking their mulligans, I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors for this weekend's festivities. Apex Con and the Apex Invitational Series is sponsored by Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard is the industry leader when it comes to TCG supplies. From the archive deck box to the katana sleeves, check your local game store for Ultimate Guard products today.
Okay, Ryan on 6. That's not a problem, especially if he has the 4 rings in his deck. A card that undoes mulligans quite well. But he is on the draw here, likely looking for a more interactive hand. He was able to take over with an explosive draw in game 1, but I don't think that's going to be a reliable plan in this matchup. I see some lands. I saw an Ajani. I saw a ring. Not sure if I saw any removal, though.
Yeah, I saw a lot of lands. I think one's probably going to go back to the bottom.
But either way, this is a fine hand.
Okay, we're underway. Game 2. Let's see what you can do, Krista. This Hollow Wind deck got run over in game 1. Let's see if we're the one doing the driving in game 2. Here's a Darcy. Pass it back. Man, Dragon Rage Channeler fell off, huh? That card used to be everywhere.
Ryan Hayes bringing in Orm's Chant. It's interesting. And here's the Stone of Eric, so those came in as well.
You know, that's maybe another thing we were talking about. So with Silence, I don't think Silence would be a card that is brought in here, right? And Silence was the de facto anti-spell tech. With Orm's Chant, you can just like shut off the big haste turn. Or,
Yeah.
you know, in response to the Burning Inquiry, you can cast Orm's Chant and then no hollow ones can be cast.
There's some functionality there, but it seems like a relatively weak card to me.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. It's like if you think the One Ring is good, you need to be clearing things, trading things. You don't need to be stalling. Okay, Stone of Eric comes down and go back to Krista. We play Mishra's Bauble. Gonna sack it and take a peek at the top of Ryan's deck. That's gonna give us a card on the next upkeep.
No turn 2 play. That signals an Orcish Bowmasters.
Okay, gonna fetch with Arid Mesa.
There's Basic Mountain. Gorgeous basics for Ryan Hayes, as always.
Now the text on Stone of Eric is interesting here. I was curious if it stopped things going into the graveyard from discard, but no. It only stops things that would go to the graveyard from play when they die. So this isn't a way to prevent things like Detective Phoenix from going into the graveyard unless you crack it to exile the whole graveyard and draw a card. But I do like that, you know, anything that's squishy with an extra ETB effect is no longer that effective. But here is a Johnny for Ryan Hayes, and that's immediately going to be responded to by Krista with Orcish Bowmasters. And I guess this is during the end step.
Yeah. Normally you want to avoid transforming the Ajani, but in this case, Krista could attack down the Ajani immediately. She has 3 power on the battlefield, so Ryan declines the transformation.
Yeah, not all of the creature planeswalkers that flip from Modern Horizons are May abilities, but this one is a May ability, and so choosing not to is pretty good. Here, Krista has a brutal blowout, and there's Burning Inquiry, and again, combined with Orcish Bowmaster is going to allow her to play the machine gun. We're going to chop down the Ajani with 2 of that damage. One's going to go to face, and it's going to grow the Orc army, and we're going to attack for a big old chunk.
Yeah. She did Surveil with the Dragon's Rage Channeler as well, left it on top, so found one card that she probably doesn't want to discard.
It's probably a hollow one, if I'm being, you know, if she's keeping it. I don't know what you'd want to keep necessarily. But I do not know the Hollow One deck that well, I'll be honest.
I like this. I think they're rolling for both players at once, just to save a little bit of time,
Love it.
since they had an equal number of cards in hand.
Okay. Looks like Krista discards Surgical Extraction, Rough Tumble, and something I didn't get a good look at. Maybe a Detective's Phoenix. And then Hayes is going to discard Ring, Static Prison, and Goblin Bombardment. But the big picture, no board for Ryan Hayes, a ton of power for Krista, and a big attack still coming. And a Hollow One.
This is going to be an attack for at least 6. Not sure if Krista achieved Delirium. There's Sorcery, Artifact, and Instant. Is there a land?
I don't know. But I do know something I forgot about with Rough Tumble is that it has a 6 in the casting cost, which means with Detective's Phoenix, it comes back with Collect Evidence very easily.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So Ryan Hayes going to fall down to 8 after that attack, so I think the DRC is Delirious.
Okay. Well, I believe Detective's Phoenix is an enchantment because it has Bestow, and so it's an enchantment creature, and that plus the sorcery plus the instant should be enough. But Stone of Air can exile the graveyard here for 2 mana, but it's quite expensive.
Ryan can't afford to spend 2 mana on that. He's staring down lethal even if he takes away Delirium because of the Hollow One.
Yeah, I think it's actual 0% that Ryan wins the game. Just an incredible turn 3 from Krista.
Yeah, and Krista on the play with a more explosive draw that was nice for her this game. But Ryan didn't do anything relevant on turn 1, just played the stone, not anything that really impacted the battlefield. And that was part of the reason that he fell so far behind. If he had a removal spell for the turn 1 DRC or another creature like a Guide of Souls, maybe he could claw back into this. But this is okay. Amped Raptor hits what it needs to.
Okay, so maybe it's minor. The Dragon Rage Channeler should be exiled. If we could go get that exiled, I'd appreciate it. Thanks to that Stone of Eric. Oh, never mind. Game's over. Okay. No harm, no foul. Orcish Bowmasters comes down during the inset, and Chris Oskopensky takes game number 2. Fast and furious games here. Round number 3 of our 20K Modern Invitational. We got our 6th place leaderboard player, Ryan Hayes, on Boros Energy, facing off against longtime player, and I believe top 16 leaderboard player, Chris Oskopensky. She's been doing quite well here, and she's playing this Hollow One deck and doing very well with it recently.
She finished exactly 16th.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even look. I'm just so smart. So smart. All right, Ross, anything change between play and draw?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan goes back to his sideboard and makes his deck a little more threat dense on the play. His draw in that game was clogged up with things like Ormschand and Stone of Eric, and that was part of the problem, but not any big changes. These games have really been about who comes out of the gates quickly and has that explosive early start. So less about changing the structure of the deck and more about aggressively mulliganing for those strong opening hands.
All right. Players here shuffling up for game number 3. I'd like to take this time to say thank you to a sponsor of this weekend's festivities. Here at ApexCon, we are sponsored by Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Wings Etc. is a family-friendly restaurant with sports on TV. It's a good time for all, and I hope to be there again tonight and do it all again. We were there last night for quite some time with a big group of Magic players and had a blast.
Had a lot of etc. And a lot of wings.
Yeah. They got a killer blue cheese wedge salad. I know one of our British friends who showed up was raving about it after I let him try some of mine, and he got his own.
And this looks like a mulligan for Krista Oskopensky to start game 3, and Ryan looks to be keeping his 7.
Okay, good news for Ryan Hayes fans. I know we got plenty in the chat. I know I'm one myself, but between these two, I'm not sure who to root for. I love Krista's deck, though, so we'll probably just root for Hollow One for the funsies.
The Hollow One deck is very cool, but notably, Ryan 6th on the leaderboard and did so without ever making the finals of one of these tournaments. Had to qualify on leaderboard points for the Invitational. So he's been a very consistent performer, but hasn't made that super deep run into the finals of a big event. It would be really nice for him to do that today.
All right, our middle table looks like they just finished. Maybe we can get an update on the score there. I saw a handshake, and I think maybe Bellamy took it down, but we'll see. Krista Oskopinski looks at her 6-card hand, and looks like we're going to keep that and put one on the bottom, and we're going to be underway. Ryan Hayes is going to be on the play. Arid Mace to the play. No 1-drop from Hayes.
Yeah, but he has a galvanic discharge, so he can answer a 1-drop from Krista.
Well, let's see if Krista has the famed turn 1 Burning Inquiry into multiple hollow ones draw. I know that was a very popular meme a few years ago with the quad hollow one opener.
Oh yeah, that would be a good draw.
That was a good snap. I saw that one. Here's Blood Crypt, taking 3.
See a DRC in hand, so Krista going to start on that for the 3rd straight game. Finally, Ryan has the answer.
Oh, he had it the first time, remember? Galvanic Discharge, and chose to do 0 damage to it so he could grow his Rogavan. And it was beautiful. A beautiful play. I don't get to see too many beautiful plays anymore, Ross.
I was playing a beautiful game.
Elegant Parlor, the fine. No interest in killing this on the instep, so likely digging for something relevant as opposed to being efficient. Puts it on top.
Interesting. Potentially needs another land. He does find an Arid Mesa if that was the case.
I think he needed land 3 was the big thing. His hand had 2 land and like the ring and some other stuff. And again, we're not even going to care about this Dragon Race Chandler. We're going to play Goblin Bombardment instead.
He just doesn't care at all. Modern Horizons 2. That's old news. It's all about Modern Horizons 3.
Can't wait for Modern Horizons 4.
Can't use an MH3 card to kill an MH2 card.
Okay, here's Burning Inquiry. So Ryan Hayes' hand could completely change after this draw 3, discard 3. Chris are going to trigger the Darcy. We can put that into the graveyard, or we can leave it on top to draw to potentially keep it after the Burning Inquiry. Graveyard it is. Okay, both players going to draw 3, discard 3 at random. No Orcish Bowmaster in play, though, so this isn't nearly as devastating as it has been in the past.
Well, you can't say that yet.
That's
it
true.
might be.
That's true. Could be a bunch of hollow ones coming. All right, so it looks like both players have...
I see 7 for Krista, and...
Was it 8 for Ryan?
Yeah, it's 8. So they're going to have to do this separately.
Okay. I know there was someone in chat earlier who was like, I've never seen a Burning Inquiry resolved in paper before. It's going to be very interesting. And you're right. It is very interesting.
It takes a little time.
Okay.
6 hits Ryan's hand there, but doesn't hit Krista's at the end, so they needed an extra roll.
Another Detective's Phoenix discard here. Surgical Extraction, and I believe that's a Fear of Missing Out. Can't quite tell. And so I believe we are now Delirious. Here's Hollow 1.
And does Krista want to make it a hasty Hollow 1?
I'd want to make it a hasty Hollow 1, but Krista instead just going to continue deploying the threats to try to overwhelm, and I think that's great. We're going to count up the... It's not Delirium, but count up the Nethergoyf's power toughness here.
I think the consideration there, is 1, you have another good thing to do with that mana in the Nethergoyf, and 2, you want to maintain Delirium for the DRC.
Funny enough, Chris actually messaged me earlier this week and asked if I had Tarmo die, because I used to be on coverage at Star City when they made those Tarmo die. And unfortunately I didn't, but it seems like she has found some of her own.
Yeah, so that's a 5/6 Nethergoyf. This is 12 power on the battlefield for Krista on turn 2. And Ryan may be kicking himself for not killing the DRC. Because he is quite behind the 8 ball here.
My guess is that he just had a Johnny and wanted to try to flip it in a cheeky way and kind of clean up after. And he might still be able to, especially if he's got a 1-drop to go along with it.
Yeah. Arid Mesa sacrifice, so Hayes will fall down to 15 life and get a basic Plains.
Important to note, he did discard a Static Prison, and so one of his answers to those big creatures is gone.
Yeah. There's 4 copies in his list, though. So, might be able to find some more. Yeah, and there is a second copy in his hand. So we'll start with Static Prison, likely exiling the Nethergoyf, and it does.
Okay.
And then he has, looks like Guide of Souls, Galvanic Discharge, the One Ring, and Sacred Foundry. So the discharge awkwardly. Does he have how much
So he,
energy?
he gained 2 energy from the
Yes.
static prison, so he can go up, go to 1 to cast it, and then go up to 4, and then use all 4 to kill Hollow One. Or we can just use it to straight up trade for the Dragon Race
He
Channeler.
has 3 energy because he has 1 from the hub on turn 2.
I see.
So he can kill the Hollow One. Ryan can kill the Hollow One and leave himself with 1 to pay for the prison next turn, at least.
All right, Krista attacks in here with Hollow One and Darcy. This is an attack for 7. The Galvanic Discharge is going to go up to 5 and then down to 1 to kill Hollow One, and then 3 damage comes across. Haze down to 9.
Yeah, down to 12. The spotter was on top of it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so a pretty good job of clearing up the board, and Ryan can play land 4, the One Ring next turn, and try to take over with that.
Yeah, the One Ring is a great way to beat these decks that attack you, to win the game. And Krista's deck doesn't have some combo kill that can juke it like the Thassa's Oracle Grinding Station decks that we watched last round.
True, true. The one awkward aspect of that play of going for the ring next turn is that Ryan will be down to 0 energy for the static prison on his following turn. So if he doesn't find something like a galvanic discharge, then there's going to be another Nethergoyf that he has to clean up.
So Krista playing a little conservatively here. She's could have gone for Detective's Phoenix plus Nethergoyf this turn to really get some pressure going. Instead, going to go for Nethergoyf into Burning Inquiry. Didn't want to, I guess, get not blown out, but disrupted by removal from Ryan. Both players here are going to be drawing 3 and then discarding 3, and I think they're both down to very few cards in hand, either 1 or 2 left after this.
Ryan had 2, so he's up to 5 while they're resolving. Krista's at 4. Krista might be saving the Phoenix to give haste to a later Fear of Missing Out as well, but she has Arena of Glory for a FOMO.
Okay. So 3 cards discarded. Krista discards Rough Tumble, a Bauble, and I believe another Burning Inquiry. 1 card left. Nethergoyf should be quite large. We'll see if Haze has an answer. He did not discard the 1 ring, but he might have discarded all his lands. I think he did. He has ring and 2 Johnnies in hand. Not good.
Yeah, Johnny is good at checking Nethergoyf, though, and the Guide of
We can
Souls
also
will give him
flip it.
some life and energy.
Can flip it right now. We play Johnny. We gain 2 life, 2 energy. We sack the 2/1 token, deal 1 damage. Flip the Johnny, and then we can 0 and deal 2 more damage and kill the Dragon Race Channeler.
Yeah, so
that's the
the
sequence.
Bombardment and the Johnny can team up to answer the Darcy. Ryan will gain 2 life, go up to, or gain 3 life over that line of play. So that'll bring him back up to 15 and give him energy to keep paying for the static prison.
Yeah, but the Detective's Phoenix from the graveyard from Krista next turn can give this Nethergoyf flying, and that gets over the ground blockers.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be a problem. So Ryan he really just needs to find land 4 for the ring. If he does that in time and then draws into a removal spell for the Nethergoyf, I think he'll be fine.
Okay, so we're going to start with the play that we were talking about before. The Johnny is going to transform thanks to the bombardment. We're going to make another 2/1 cat, shoot down, gain a bunch of life with the Guide of Souls. And now the question is, do we attack with the Guide of Souls and put some counters on it?
I don't think so, because you need to keep the static prison around.
Are we at 3 energy exactly?
Yeah.
Okay.
We saw Ryan be very aggressive in game 1. He's thinking about it. He wants to. He wants to.
He does want to,
He
but
knows he shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay, gonna go back to Krista. Nethergoyf is a 6/7. We have Detective Phoenix in the graveyard. I'm not sure the implications of how much it'll shrink when she Detective Phoenixes the Nethergoyf. And if she has another creature in hand, she may want to play that and then Detective Phoenix onto it.
Ooh, looks like she might be exerting Arena of Glory. That might be a Fear of Missing Out.
Yeah, perhaps it's Detective Phoenix and a Darcy, though. Maybe something like that. Give them both haste.
Either way, she's going to want to deal with the Ajani. So that's step 1 for this turn for Krista.
Okay, looks like we are going to exert, and it is Dragon Race Channeler. And that in tandem with Detective's Phoenix here. It's going to give flying to the Nether Goyf, and it's going to give haste to the Dragon Race Channeler as long as we can maintain Delirium. And thanks to Rough Tumble, it's very cheap to bring back Phoenix. We're going to trigger Chevelle. Because we're bestowing, it is a non-creature spell, I believe.
Yeah. And we know that there's Burning Inquiries in the graveyard, so the Rough Tumble isn't the lone sorcery.
Okay, now Krista has a tough decision here. Do we send all face? This is an 11-point attack, which will put Haze down to 4. We can also attack a Johnny and for 3, and then 8 at face, and that looks like that's the play.
Yeah, 8 at face and deal with the Ajani is certainly the better attack. And that's the main reason to exert the arena.
Okay, Haze down to 7, but has another copy of a Johnny here at the base.
Yeah, does he find land 4 for the ring, though?
We're going to pay 1 energy for the Static Prison, keeping that Nether Goyf locked down. We're currently facing an 8-power flying creature. We don't have a flyer ourselves. We can gain some life with the Guide of Souls, but this is looking pretty dicey.
Yeah, the most Ryan could gain with Guide is 3 from the Ajani by transforming it again with Goblin Bombardment like he did last turn, but it is a land off the top, Marsh Flats, so Ryan's going to go to 6, fetch up another basic Plains, and cast the 1 ring, and hope the ring can save him.
So, Fear Fire Foes, Bone Crusher Giants, Sunspire Lynx, are any of these cards in Krista's sideboard, and do you think she has any here?
None in the sideboard for Krista on that front.
So it looks like we're going to be completely shielded for a full turn cycle. We're going to go ahead and draw a card. We also got in a chip attack with the Guide of Souls and the Cat Token because we're protected for the turn. Krista finds land number 3, but this is really untapped land number 2 because of the exerted Arena of Glory. And we'll see what she wants to do for the turn. She's going pretty quickly here, so she might have a great turn lined up.
Probably just a 2-mana creature, a Fear of Missing Out. Like that.
Normally something like Orcish Bowmasters would be great against the One Ring, but the existence of this Goblin Bombardment is just a huge pain in the butt.
Indeed it is.
We got a reader. Ryan going to pick up the Phoenix and give it a look-see. Wants to make sure he knows all the abilities on it. It's Haste, Flying, 2/2. Here's FOMO, Fear of Missing Out. We're going to go discard draw, but we don't have anything to discard, and FOMO is templated so that you get a free card off of here. Darcy has to attack even though the ring has protection. Krista knows that, and now we're going to pass it back.
Okay. Ryan sees 3 total cards off the ring in this turn cycle and 1 for turn, and he needs to find an answer to this Nethergoyf. See Flooded Strand, the Ajani that we knew about, and some red card.
And this is with the Static Prison on the stack. We're going to draw 2 cards because we can find Galvanic Discharge. That's something.
Okay, Orms.
Found Orm's Chant.
But with Ryan at 5, he not only needs to find eventually answers to Krista's battlefield, he's going to need to answer his own ring.
I mean, the Guide of Souls, I think, can help keep your life total high enough so that the ring doesn't get you, especially because he has this backup of Johnny. This is going to come down and gain 2 more life. He's able to immediately transform while interacting with some of the creatures on the other side of the table.
So that should help him effectively answer his ring with life gain. So up to 7 from the Ajani and its token entering with Guide of Souls triggers. We'll see if Ryan wants to transform the Ajani immediately. I have to imagine he is interested in that. Because Orm's Chant stops the creatures from attacking anything. It doesn't just stop them from attacking you.
Yeah, and we're going to do 1 damage to face with a Goblin Bombardment because we're going to 0 the Ajani and probably kill the Fear of Missing Out, would be my guess.
Ryan might send this upstairs. Can he lethal Krista in the next couple turns?
Maybe. The 0 here is only 3 damage, so that would put Krista to 9.
And then next turn he can deal at least 4, and then he has 4 damage with a Bombardment. He just needs 1 more creature.
Well, he has another Ajani in hand. Is there a chance he can kill this turn? So he can go 0 this Ajani. He can play Ajani from hand right now. Oh my god, I think he's going to kill this turn. We go Ajani from hand. We make 2 more creatures. That's 4 creatures. Johnny 0 deals 5.
and then you
That's down to 7.
Then you transform the other Ajani,
And
do
that's
it again, and bombardment finishes Krista off. Yeah, this is just
whoa.
lethal.
Whoa. This Boros deck, man.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Unbelievable. All right, 5U. Krista down to 7. And
I'm
now,
sitting here thinking about all the things he needs to answer. No, don't answer anything. Just kill them.
yeah. And now, Krista down to 6 from the bombardment. Ajani's going to transform again. This is going to 0. Deal 40 down to 2. Bombardment deals 1. Bombardment deals 1. Krista packs it in. Ryan Hayes, 3-0. Our 6th place leaderboard finisher on the year is starting off really great here in our 20K Modern Invitational.
Just kill him.
Just kill him has been called.